And Brenda, you've got a nice piece looking at the different states in the United States, and really the big divergences that do exist between those that are doing well and doing poorly.
Yes.
It seems that access to energy is one of the big factors, right? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
It is the story.
The story, yeah.
Here's the background to it. Two former census officials who have a consulting firm have been going through census data to look at income in the United States, and they had a striking report last year that showed American household median income, annual income, declined more during the recovery than during the recession.
So we get champagne corks popping down
right.
there. Distractions. It's not always like this, folks. It's not always like this.
It's only on stories like this. So anyway, they went deeper into the data to see, well, what's actually going on now? And so they studied data between 2007 and 2010. And not surprisingly, they found that median household income declined, I think, 3.5%. Everybody saw some pain because there were so many bad effects of the recession. There's the housing boom, there's manufacturing, oil. However,
we all know that part of it.
One sliver of the United States, and that is an oil patch that is Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana, saw incomes tick up 0.3%.
What about Pennsylvania with all that gas, that shale gas?
They did very well. Johnstown, Pennsylvania is among the top 10 cities or metro areas that was one of the top 10 gainers in the U.S.
Right.
So energy is it. Yes, and also you'll find that the sort of state plus District of Columbia, the highest earner increase was Washington, D.C., which had an 8.1% increase in income between 2000.
That's, of course, those big oil wells that they've sunk down in the middle of Pennsylvania Avenue, right?
I'm not quite sure about that.
No?
I think
what might it be?
Maybe it has more to do with lobbyists, lawyers, and doctors and steady federal government employment.
That's in other words, the economy is running on the same old cylinders it always has. That's lovely to hear.
In those areas,
but in those areas. But the other part of it actually looks, interestingly to me, like the rest of the global economy. I mean, you look at the winners and losers everywhere, and it is all about whether you have resources or not. I mean, and
if you know how to use them. I mean,
if you know how to use them or sell them, right? Yes, exactly. Yes. If you're managing them well, absolutely. I mean, but at this moment in time, and I'm an Aussie, and so I occasionally go back to my hometown of Perth, which is on the west coast, right in the midst of the iron ore boom, and it's night and day to look at what's happening to housing prices and people's living standards there relative to what's happened in the United States and other parts, of course, Europe as well. So you have this force, and it's China that's a huge factor in that, right?
Oh, true.
So it's almost like, you're seeing in the United States the role of China playing out in the divisions between these work processes.
Yeah, and you're also seeing some states where, we're seeing, for instance, we had good manufacturing numbers today, fairly promising, some new orders. I think a lot of those new orders are coming from outside the United States, and it shows that they need bulldozers, they need earth movers, and that's helping a little bit with jobs in states that
actually are exporting industrial machinery to places like China. But of course, manufacturing has been in demise partly because of competition with China.
Asia.
It's an incredible story that sort of encapsulates it all. Is there? You did point to some positive signs there. I mean, are we seeing? And certainly the data today, which states are starting, if there are any, coming out of this hole at this stage? Well,
the good news is that there is growth. These analysts also studied household formation, which in certain respects can be seen as sort of an economic, a slight piece of economic good news, just because if people have enough money to form new households, then they might have money to spend on other things. If they don't have money to form new households, like if they're going back and living with their parents, or if they're getting married and not going out and finding a new house, then that's not such a good sign. Household formation was up very briskly, obviously in the oil patch, but it was also very up in what are called the Mountain West states. That's things like Colorado, Wyoming, Arizona, and household formation. Yes, well, Arizona is actually sui generis in that it's been particularly hard hit by the housing bust. But places like Colorado are seeing increases, and of course Idaho, but that's also thanks to energy. But they are it's a little early to tell what's going on there.
You don't know quite why. I mean, it's not as bad as Arizona. It's not booming like Texas, but it is. It's got something going on. Is there
a young
migration?
Population.
There's a migration factor.
Migration and also young population at the point where they would be starting families.
Any thoughts on how this plays out in the election?
Oh gosh, I think in this 42-page report, there is so much fodder for right and left.
Right, exactly. Always is.
One could say that, that not enough has been done, or one could say, look at the strides we've already made. So I would expect that this would be pretty...
But, maybe Obama should be sort of spending as much time as he can in places like Wyoming and Colorado, steering clear of the ones that are really bombed.
The ones that aren't terribly... Michigan, Wisconsin, some of those have
ironically,
really
though, it does seem as though, fair to say, some of those booming states are actually red states, and the blue states are the ones that are the hardest hit,
That's so. It's a fascinating report, though. It's just filled with, for instance, it's not just oil and gas. West Virginia is among one of the biggest gainers because of coal. So it is just a whole broad energy picture, really.
Right.
It is, and also you're still seeing huge effects. You see this in the Midwest, which had the largest drop of all, the big toll from the recession.
Right. Well, it does seem like a fascinating report. It's great to have you on, then, Brenda. Thanks so much for coming by.